If you were to ask me the one single best business growth strategy, I would give you this recommendation. So I wouldn't necessarily say that there is one. I wouldn't say it's social. I wouldn't say it's paid ads. I wouldn't say it's marketing. I wouldn't say it's SEO. I wouldn't even say that it's a really good product or PR, even though obviously we're going to talk about PR today. I would talk about how each department has all of these pieces working simultaneously and working together, and they all need to talk to each other. So, marketing feeds PR, PR feeds social media feeds sales, sales creates customers, customer stories become PR. Everything kind of works in a circle. And then also, there's other examples of that as well, right? So PR can feed into your marketing, your social media can feed into your PR. So a really good strategy is, again, having all of these talk together. And before you are like, who is this person? How are you credible to talk about this? My name is Lydia, the co-founder of Visibility on Purpose. We are a PR consulting and strategy studio. So we help brands like you create really beautiful, lasting business strategies through the lens of PR that's going to help your brand become a household name. That's what we believe in. We think that everyone should have access to this, not just big celebrities that have the money to funnel into these big agency prices and, these strategies that are not accessible to regular startups. That's not the case. And for additional credentials, I've been in PR for over a decade. I've worked with hundreds of brands at this point, sold at major retailers like Neiman Marcus, Target, Sephora, Ulta, Whole Foods, many different grocery stores, Amazon. And it's funny, I used to say Amazon before Amazon was like a big thing. It was like kind of more exclusive. It'd be like Amazon. And now it's like, every brand is on Amazon. But also, it's like, how do we get these businesses from the startup stage to really thriving? And I'm telling you, this is the special sauce. Okay, so think about your business like a group chat. Think about your friend group. If everyone is in the same group chat, everybody knows what's happening. The jokes make sense, the plans come together, nobody is confused. Now imagine one friend isn't in the group chat. Someone has to repeat everything. Plans get missed. People show up in the wrong restaurant. It's chaos. And that's exactly what is happening inside your business, right? So, marketing says one thing, social media says another, and your PR focus says something completely different. Sales has its own message, and then customers are expected to piece together all of these different parts. And so, basically, a lot of it has to do with branding at the top. And then it kind of trickles down into every single department. And the brands that are growing the fastest have every single department in the same group chat. So let's start with marketing. One thing that I actually tell founders is that PR can make your marketing easier. So before we ever pitch a journalist, we're asking questions like, why did you create this? Why now? What is changing in your industry? What's the biggest conversation that your products fit into? Those answers don't just become a media pitch, they become your website copy, your launch email, your social captions, your ad messaging, your founder talking points. And I think that it's one of the biggest mistakes that brands make is leading with features instead of the stories. So people rarely remember the ingredients or the specifics. That's what I mean by features. They remember why something exists. So what PR helps uncover, and instead creating marketing from scratch every time. You already have a story that every channel can build upon. So an example of this is so typically we work with product brands now, but I think the story really is helpful. So we had a branding expert that was explaining to us, we asked them why they created their business. And she was like, well, I just love to work with the industry rebels. Like I love to work with brands that need support in really like extracting these like cool pieces of themselves and like talking about it. So it's kind of like an industry disruptor, but like more extreme. And I was like, wait, industry rebels so cool. Why is that nowhere in your branding? And then eventually what ended up happening was we landed her a full Forbes feature on this concept of the industry rebel. She had changed her website copy. She had changed a lot of her Instagram narrative. And so just realizing that like really when it comes, PR is branding at the end of the day. It's like the words of branding. It might not be the aesthetics, but it's the words that really have the essence of your brand. And then it trickles into everything else because people resonate with stories. And PR at the end of the day is storytelling. So I think when it comes to marketing, it's like, marketing gets you noticed, then there's PR, and then the PR storytelling comes back into marketing, and it really helps support that. So when we're talking about the group chat and everybody chatting with each other, this is what we mean. So now we're going to go on to the next piece of social media. So this is probably the biggest missed opportunity that I do see. So many founders think that PR ends once the article gets published, but I actually think it's when the work begins. So every interview and every feature becomes content or should become content. So every podcast gives you weeks of social media ideas because if you think about all the conversations you had, there's so many different topics that you probably covered. And in addition to that, a lot of podcasts also give you the content so you can post that on your socials. And there's so many like bite-sized moments where our clients will tell us like they'll say something, not tell us, but they'll tell the host something really, really cool. And I'm like, okay, that needs to go on your social media or your Instagram. And if you're a product brand and you're listening to this, people have changed the way that they purchase. They want to know who is behind the brand. And we're seeing a huge wave, have been, and probably will in the future, in brands that have founder facing storytellers. And so we really think that, like, if you're going to show up on your Instagram or you're showing up on your socials, like, you're going to stand out. And instead of wondering what to post each week, I want you to look at your PR. So, what conversations are you already having? What trends are you talking about? What founder stories are getting attention? Your PR strategy should naturally become your content strategy. And it works the other way around too. So, journalists aren't just looking at your website anymore, they're absolutely checking your Instagram, probably more so, and LinkedIn. It used to be that like Twitter was the place, and that has since moved on since it's turned to X. And I feel like it's more of like a bro tech space. So if you're actually in tech, be on X. But if you're not, I would highly recommend curated Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Now, they want to see you're constantly showing up on these platforms. So, a lot of our clients will do one area really well, whether it be social or PR, and they'll forget about the other. But just remember, it's full circle. I also, even like as a publicist of years, used to go on and still do sometimes our either private clients or our consulting clients, and I'll go on their Instagrams and I'll take a look and see like what are they talking about. And a lot of the times, you're already such good storytellers as founders because you know your brand and your industry so well. And so you never really need to reinvent the wheel. And even if you have a publicist, like this is a great opportunity to start thinking about different stories that you can share with your publicist and be like, hey, this really hit on Instagram. I think it might hit in a story. And just make sure that everyone is talking to each other, right? So we're going to go back to branding, but branding really is about perception of your business. So it's how people describe your business after they leave. And PR has a huge impact on this. So every interview that you do, every podcast that you go on, every article that you've been quoted in, you're teaching people about your brand and what it stands for. Now, if in your PR campaign, you're getting a lot of like really great content that is talking about your brand and like people are reading about it and there's different things happening in articles, and then you go on your website and it kind of falls flat, I want you to look back at your branding and have the branding talk to each other on both sides. It can be aligned and cohesive, but remember, these are the words. And when somebody comes to your website and checks out your brand, they need to understand what your brand is about. And so the copy really does matter. Of course, like the imagery and the vibe, all of that is like super important too. But I would encourage that everything makes sense. So if your brand is really bold and fun, your images should be that way, your colors should be that way, and also your PR should be that way. So again, talking to each other. And this is why I always encourage our founders to get really clear on their message before they start pitching. And we always help with that. We actually write the pitch for you. If you want to get a PR plan with us, which is essentially one document of a full strategy, we'll give you a pitch, which is, of course, approved by us as PR pros. And we'll give you 5 to 10 outlets that are most likely to feature your brand. Or if you want to go down a consulting route with us, if we think that you are prepped and ready for that, what we'll do is we'll just make sure that everything is aligned and really help you along that journey of like, let's look at your socials, let's look at your website, let's look at your PR before we get started, because we want to make sure that there's consistency. That's really what it is. The strongest brands become memorable because they are consistent in telling the same story and the same story really, really well. And PR very much reinforces that over and over again. Okay, so something that a lot of people don't talk about, and I don't even really talk about this that much because PR is not a sales strategy, it's a piece of the group chat, is PR can be very helpful with sales over time. So if somebody is considering buying your products, what's going to very much build trust is getting featured on big places like Forbes and big podcasts and Allure and Bon Appetit and Elle and Marie Claire, because these are third-party credibility pieces, and we already trust these big publications, right? Like they are this seal of approval. That's honestly like how you find anything out on the internet. If you're going to be typing in a question on the internet, one of these large publications is going to come up with some sort of article or source. And so just remembering that that is the seal of approval, and that is what really helps create sales. Another thing that we talk about a lot on this podcast and on this YouTube channel is affiliate PR. So now with products, you can actually see where the sales are coming from PR, which is really, really cool. And I talk a lot about that in the Impact video. So Impact is our preferred affiliate platform. We absolutely love it because it has a starter edition. So essentially, it's really affordable for startup brands and it lets you have an easy access point to this. But basically, what it does is if you get featured on Bon Appetit, for example, if you're available on Impact, there is a tracking link that Bon Appetit knows to use. And essentially, if somebody sees your product on Bon Appetit and they go and purchase it from there within a 30-day cookie, so 30 days of tracking, they will get a small kickback for featuring you. So it sounds like it doesn't sound like a win, but I promise it's such a win because you get to see the data. And what's so incredible is you can change the pricing on it. So we typically recommend for like top tier publications to do 20% of the overall cart. And the goal always is to convert to lasting customers. So 90% of the time, if you're really confident in your product, if somebody goes to buy it once, they're probably going to come back and buy it again. And that tracking link is only available for 30 days. Afterwards, it's done, right? And so this tracking link shows you new acquired customers, which I think is really, really cool. And I mean, there are some programs we have access to where it's like they're earning like 30, 40, 50, $60,000 a year. And some of them, bigger brands make that a month, but a year in affiliate revenue. And so it's really cool to start getting that tracking data because back in the day, PR, you couldn't really track it, right? It's like brand awareness. Like you get featured on all these different places and people start talking about you and it's word of mouth and it's a slow rise, but it's a rise that stays there for a long time and creates household brands. But now we have this technology that tells us kind of like on Instagram, right? When you see like all the views, like we have this technology to track things. And so if we see an article or something really sending new customers and we see that tracking data, that also goes to show us what our clients are looking for, what resonated with them. So PR is so cool in helping with sales. But another thing about PR that helps with sales is we talked to an ad manager the other day and they were like, you know, all the features that we get for our clients, like those are like that we see for our clients, like those are feeding into their ads and their like marketing ads. And those marketing ads are creating sales because we can say like, oh yeah, this is a Forbes featured brand, or this is like the top pick on People. And so just know that again, all of these pieces really help and feed into each other. So if they're talking, everything's going to be rising all at once. So here's something really interesting. PR isn't just about talking, it's also about listening. So we're constantly paying attention to journalists. And if you do this for yourself, you will really see that like journalists will happily give you feedback if they test your products. And sometimes the feedback is not always the best. And sometimes it's amazing. The other day we had a client that's a beverage company, and they told us that they thought that it was a little too sweet for them. And then another writer told us that it was also too sweet for them. And so something that we told them was like, this is like a beverage mix brand. We were like, well, what if you put like half of the mix in? Is that something that feels good to you? Or maybe that will change the taste enough for you to say like, absolutely yes. And it was funny. They responded back and they were like, that's such a good hack. I did it. And it tasted a lot better for me. And so of course, like the brand, we talked to the brand and the brand was okay with that recommendation. But also at the end of the day too, like sometimes taste is a personal preference versus like, a negative thing. So maybe in the future, if this brand comes out with less sweet drink mixes, or maybe they go on their Instagram and they say something like, so that could be a product development thing, but maybe they go on their Instagram and they say like, what's a really cool hack if you're somebody that really likes to drink water, but really doesn't like to drink water, but likes to have a little something, and you're not really a sweet person, you can actually do less of our packets in our drinks. And so it's really cool to see feedback, because I think journalist feedback will tell you what your customers are thinking. And so it's kind of like free market research in a sense. And at the end of the day, like, as long as you navigate it the appropriate way, free feedback is such a blessing because most people pay for that. Okay, in closing, I think the biggest mindset shift here for founders is that you have to stop looking at PR as something that is separate from your business. So I started with this being like, what is the single best business strategy that I can give you in 15 minutes? And this truly is it. The strategy is that everything should be talking to each other, but also that PR is integrated, just like sales, just like marketing, just like product development, just like branding. All of these pieces really complete this whole friend group chat. If we're going to go back to this is the friend group, right? And we always joke around and we're like, okay, like PR and marketing and sales, they're cousins, or they're like best friends, but they truly are best friends. And this is what will help make your sales process more trustworthy, your branding more consistent, your social more strategic, your marketing more compelling, your customer experience more valuable. And brands that seem to grow effortlessly, they truly understand this concept. And I don't mean to like stress out about these different channels. I think that you need to start somewhere with everything. But getting the right support and working with, a publicist, a sales expert, or somebody that understands this, I think is really going to help your brand truly flourish. So of course you can reach out to us. Kind of went on a tangent with this one. I feel like I went in a few different directions, but to sum this up, business growth really happens when everything talks to each other. Now, I have to say it, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you have any questions or if we can support you in any way, please make sure to send us a DM. I was going to say comment below, which you can also do, but you can send us a DM on Instagram as well. We love chatting on there. Obviously, we love chatting. We started a YouTube channel, and we look forward to talking with you soon.